Okay, so I am Stacie Ysidro, and I am back with Gigi, and we're continuing our conversation around genitals and genital health.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask some questions around what do you do if and when you find out that you have an STI or your partner does? What then?
Breathe. That's the first thing. Is just take a deep breath. And I'm assuming that you've gone to get a test. So testing is great. I advocate for testing so you just have a knowing. I advocate for testing because I advocate for regular testing because so many STIs actually aren't detectable and can lead to a lot of like pelvic health or genital health dysfunction. So I advocate for regular testing, even if you're in like a long-term committed monogamous relationship. Okay, I'll get off my high horse of the testing.
No, I agree because, going in like to get the annual, pap smear thing with women, that's like a regular thing. But men, it's not like they go every year to the penis doctor, and there's a lot of things that men can actually have and be carrier or penis bodied people. So let me make this, inclusive. Yeah. Penis bodied people can have certain STIs and not know it and still be transmitting them to their partners. And if a vulva-bodied woman goes and gets the pap smear, we're going to find out sooner than they're going to find out, probably, because there's no way to test for some things.
It's true. And vulva-bodied humans also can be carriers. So one thing I love to share is that 80% of the people who have HSV, which is the herpes simplex virus, don't actually know it. They're carriers and they don't have symptoms. And so getting a baseline is my opinion. The CDC believes because it's so popular that you don't even get HSV herpes tested on a regular STI screening. So just for everyone out there, if you didn't know that, it's really great information to specifically ask if you want to know. A lot of people don't want to know. And I advocate for baseline, like what is my baseline health? So then you can have consensual conversations. Okay, so what do you do if you find out? The first thing is really just to breathe and know that so many things, like there's bacteria, there's viruses, if you have a sty in your eye, if you get a cold, if you get a laceration in your arm, like we go to the doctor and the doctor will take a look and diagnose and give you something to treat. And STIs are the same. So if you have chlamydia, they're going to put you on antibiotics if you choose to go antibiotics, right? Like there's also the spectrum of natural health to Western medicine, right? And that's a personal belief system for everyone, but it's basically you just get treated. You take your body into what you would do if you got a big cut on your cheek, and how would you treat it? Would you clean it out? Would you put would you put like cream on it? Would you put a Band-Aid on it? What would you do if you got some other something somewhere else on your body? You would most likely treat it. STIs are the same thing. It just happens to be on your genitals, which is where we carry a lot of shame. And then the other thing, because we often come in contact with people, is to just communicate with your partners or past partners to let them know so they also can go get tested and get treated if something's there. Which sounds easier. Like I'm just like, yeah, just go get tested and go get treated and just tell your partners. It's just like easy.
Yeah. And Yeah, and like we were saying before, sometimes, if we're not used to having these conversations, then it can feel really uncomfortable at first. But I have definitely found that the more I have these conversations with partners, the easier that gets,
Mm-hmm.
and the more natural it feels. And for me, like, it actually builds a sense of intimacy and connection, because that's like this piece that, we're shamed for and are made wrong for. And it's like, oh, if you have this now, you're a slut, or, you're a bad person, or you're damaged, or, all these, things that make us feel less than. So when I open up and get vulnerable with someone and say, hey, like, I really want to talk about this. This is what's going on with me. This is where I'm at. And have someone receive that and go there with me creates such a deep level of intimacy and connection and trust with that person. That's really amazing. And if they can't have that conversation and they are shaming and judgmental, then that just shows me personally that I probably don't want to engage with that person.
It's true. Sexual health is literally is one of my favorite filters when it comes to dating. Um, it's almost like if you're out on a date and then your date starts screaming and yelling at the waitress or the waiter, it's like, oh wow, is this someone I want to spend a lot of time with, or what's going on? It's actually real. It's the most beautiful filter that I have, and I agree with you, Stacie. It creates such intimacy to be vulnerable, to have the conversation, because it is a space of vulnerability. It is a space that many of us were taught it's private, don't talk about that. And the reason there's so much shame and stigma is because we don't talk about it. So shame breeds in silence, secrecy, and judgment. So judgment's the other piece of like, and rejection. I think that most often people don't have the conversation for fear of rejection, which goes back to our first video. You can go back and watch it. Talks about really knowing who you are and what you stand for sexually, what your sexual values are. So then you can have really confident knowings of conversations when you get into these situations of like, whoa, okay, cool. Chlamydia. Okay. Wow. All right, cool. Thanks for letting me know. I'll get to the doctor and get it checked and see if I need to treat anything. Right? It's really that simple. If we take out the judgment, the shame, I'd also love to invite people not to do the who'd you get it from? Like the who'd
Oh,
you get
that's
it
the
from?
worst.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The other thing is like herpes can stay dormant in your system for a long time. So like you could have gotten it in high school or college and it doesn't actually appear until you're in your 30s or 40s. And what we think about is like, oh, who was my last sexual partner? It must have been them. They cheated on me. Fucker.
Yeah, like they did something to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's no personal responsibility there. Like if I'm choosing to engage with someone, I'm making a choice right there. And so if I'm not having those conversations, then I have to accept personal responsibility for whatever results from that. And I love like what you said about, what you can't see can control you basically. And what you shed light on doesn't control you. So you have more freedom around that.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we don't all know. So if we don't have a baseline and you actually don't know what you have or don't have, what you carry or don't carry, you don't know. And so, yes, self responsibility. And I think the self responsibility to take it back is like, if I'm choosing to have sex or sexual engagement, I am putting myself at risk. And therefore, it is self responsibility knowing that no matter who you're having sex with, you are potentially putting yourself at risk. Like, there's no safe sex, there's only safer sex.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. And so
Great.
also what I heard you say was just getting through the emotions and getting down like to the objective issue of this is what it is and this is what I go do about it. I go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in our like next clip we can talk about how do we deal with some of those emotions that come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a scary thing, and a lot of stuff comes up. So let's do that. Let's do that on the next video. So be on the lookout for us. Be on the lookout for
Yes.
us.
And we'll put links at the bottom of each video on how you can contact Gigi and for her Facebook group. And we're open to questions as well.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to Stacie's
Yay.
channel. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.